welcome to our
Q&A.
First Q&A. So what we've done is we've decided to do a Q&A about different subjects that we're being asked questions about at that time. Now we've decided to start with, because we've had lots of questions, haven't we, Alison? We've decided to start with settling babies because we've got quite a lot of babies that are settling, and we've been talking to parents, haven't we, and during viewings and all sorts of things about being understandably slightly anxious about letting their babies go off into the nursery world, and what's it going to be like, and how do they best support them, and all that sort of thing. So we completely agree that this is a really emotional time for them, and so we've got a load of questions. Well, not load, don't worry, don't panic. We've got a few really
key questions
that we've picked out, and so me and Alison are going to do our best. But the first thing is that we completely understand, and the reason that we picked this one first is because it's such a sensitive subject, and we can all remember being there, so we completely understand. Okay, so my first question that I've got on my little pad, are you ready?
Yeah.
is a very important one, and that is, I'm feeling really anxious about settling my baby into a different routine, and what can I do? What can I do to help?
I think that we know that everyone's going to feel anxious. We all do. We've all been there. It is a very difficult time. You've had your precious bundle with you for 9 months or however long it is, and you've had a really nice time, although it's been very emotional, and you're thinking about going back to work. So firstly, we do know it's really emotional. You would have already been in a routine around feeding, around changing, around sleeping.
Yeah.
So you provide opportunities, don't you, to talk about that on the settling in session?
Yeah, during the settling in session, we would we always talk about the individual situation that any family is in, and just before you come. So I think we've had this question from people that haven't maybe filled in their All About Me form for a child, which has got very carefully selected questions throughout it that tells us all about their routine, what they're doing at that exact moment, how things are for them at home, their siblings, the people that are most important to them, all of those things. The reason that we leave that up until a week before or a couple of weeks before you start, and you will get that, is because babies change so much and so quickly. So it's not because we're not interested in what's happening, it's because we know that every week a child is different. They would sleep at a different time, they would, so we just want to make sure that we get the most up-to-date information. So we carefully placed the time that we ask you about all of those things.
And our day is very flexible, isn't it?
Yes.
So when whatever age they are, when babies start, we start with their routine that they're used to, and so our day is very flexible, and we can absolutely fit in with that baby too. I think that works very well.
Yeah.
What about breastfeeding, Louise?
What about breastfeeding? So breastfeeding was the next thing on my folder. Was the next thing on my list. I am not breastfeeding, but there are lots of people that are breastfeeding before they. I'm sorry, that's not funny. It's not funny. There's lots of people that are breastfeeding, and obviously that might be a bit of a worry because you're not going to be with your child all the time, and they breastfeed at a certain time. And obviously at one point we used to have a room where people could come in and breastfeed their children if they want to. To be honest, we didn't really encourage that anyway, because the idea of being at nursery is that children enjoy it. They're not just here because you have to go back to work. They're here because they're going to have a really, really lovely time, and that really lovely time means that they kind of have to have that break from you. And actually people that did, which wasn't very many to be fair, but people that did come in, that would create a big attachment again in the middle of the day, and then they'd have to have that awful upheaval from you, their most precious one. So if you're breastfeeding, it's completely fine, don't worry. We will not breastfeed them for you, but we will take your breast milk. So if you want to express and you want to give that to us if they need it before they go to bed, that's fine. We honestly will accommodate any routine that you have. it might be better for you because that might be quite stressful, because I know expressing is not fun, not the most fun thing in the world for lots of people, and that might be a stressful thing to do in the evening. And what we want to do is make this as easy and stress-free as possible. So it might be worth moving on to bottles just for that particular.
Yeah. So what I would do is we can store it properly. I would make sure that if you're breastfeeding, you give your child some opportunities to take breast milk from a bottle from another person.
Yes.
So you could start to do that. Buy yourself a little nice carrier bag so that you can bring those bottles in safely, and we keep that for you. Obviously, we store breast milk at the correct temperature and heat it up for you as well correctly. Just make sure that your child is really familiar with taking their bottle from somebody else ideally, and from a bottle.
So my next question, I hope that's answered all the questions about breastfeeding. The main point about all of these things is that we will honestly do whatever you want us to do. We are here to accommodate your routines. We are here to talk with you individually. We do not have blanket rules at all. That doesn't exist. All children get treated, so just talk to us and we will help you, okay? If we don't cover it in this video. So the next very interesting and valid question is, I feel really guilty about going back to work. Do you have any tips for the early days?
I think it's natural to assume that everyone's going to feel guilty.
Absolutely.
Because you do. You're going to be separated from your lovely bundle, and you may be really looking forward to going back to work, or you might be dreading it, and you'll have all sorts of support, I'm sure, from your workplace. That will help you reintroduce back into your workplace. So take advantage of all of those things, like a staggered return or something like that. I would certainly suggest that you do your settles here before you go back to work. So if you can organise that wherever possible, and that means that your baby can spend a short amount of time here through your settles, and you're not rushing off back to work straight away, because it's also really nice for you to take that time to be at home for a period of time, so that you can find all your work stuff, gather your thoughts, prepare for the day, because one of the most important things is that you're organised, and that's what will alleviate some of that stress and pressure. And that's I'd certainly do that.
And that's going to make it more enjoyable for the child. So if your child feels that you're stressed about it, and that you don't really want it to happen, or you feel a bit guilty about it happening, then they're going to feel that, and that's going to make them not enjoy themselves quite as much. If we want maximum enjoyment out of nursery, however old your child is, because believe me, they're very, very sensitive at all ages, they want to feel that you feel it's the right thing. So they need to see you smiling as you drop off. They need to talk. They need to hear you talking positively about their key people and everything that you've done. They need, as you would at home, if they've hurt themselves, if they've sort of fallen over or if something's happened, not to really focus on that thing, just to acknowledge that thing and be sensitive, and then say, but I've heard that you've done this as well, and all that sort of stuff. Just be absolutely positive, even if you're not feeling it inside, because that will make the settling process go a lot smoother and a lot quicker.
You'll know the key person's name. We can also organise a photo of the key person if you would like that, to show your very young child.
They do give photos.
Good. And so we can establish all that. But we know babies are super sensitive too, and we know they feel your anxiety. So really try and be as calm as possible, and plan some great things for being back at work. So make sure that you go for lunch with somebody, and to reconnect slowly is the most important thing.
And another really good thing to do, even, I know we're talking about babies now, but the time thing is a really good habit to get into. So when you're leaving them, you're saying, I'm coming back at 4:00, even though they don't know what 4:00 is, but they will learn to feel at what time that is. It might be starting to get dark, or they might be just after tea, just after afternoon snack, or whatever. And then when you pick them up, you say to them, it's 4:00, just like I said, I'm back at 4:00. Now we can have a big cuddle and you can tell me everything you've done. Because them knowing that you are excited about what they've just done, and that they can you know, or even if they're not speaking, it doesn't matter. You can talk about, you'll be getting lots and lots of communication with your key person, and so you'll know exactly what they've been doing, so you can talk about it and they'll...
It's really important to do that with babies. They do know.
Okay, great. So, how will, this is the next question, obviously, how will I be updated during the day, Alison?
Well, we have a fantastic app called Family. And Family, you'll be able to download, and you'll have an app straight to your phone. And so the communications and notifications can ping off all of the time. Louise sends lots of messages during the day to keep all families updated, at least once a week. But it's important to read all of those. Yeah. But you can have personal messages as well with your key person, and although they're not on Family throughout the day, they are obviously interacting and playing and having a really great time with babies and young children. They will at certain points, just before they have their own lunch, and certainly during the lunchtime period, they'll be able to answer your questions. And if you want an immediate answer, the most important thing is to either ring Louise, so ring the nursery phone and somebody will answer the nursery phone, or message on Family, and you often get that.
So I'm on Family all the time, and apart from when I'm asleep, and Alison, when she's here, is as well, and the rest of the team are downstairs. So if you want to get hold of your key person, because you might want to quickly tell them that, I forgot to tell them that my baby didn't sleep very well last night, or, oh goodness, I can't believe it, I've got to work and I've completely forgotten to tell them that they didn't have any breakfast. Absolutely, completely fine. You message your key person and you just tag me in, or message me, tag the key person in. I will make sure that they get the message, or whoever. So you can get messages to people immediately. But all of those things, you mustn't worry, because all of those things are explained to you as soon as when you start. So you mustn't worry. All you need to know before you start, don't worry about all these things. Before you start, all you need to know is you can talk to us and your key person at any time. All information will be updated all the time, so we will know exactly how to care for your child, even if it changes daily.
So what we have is walkie-talkies as well. So if Louise was to get the message up here, say in the office, we'll just quickly walkie-talkie and relay information really quickly.
We've turned them off for now so that they don't interrupt the thing, but normally they're going off all the time. It's like, be careful in here. We hear everything. They can't even talk about us, can they?
No,
they can't. So the next question, Alison, is how will you tune into, which is really important, because obviously we don't know your child as well as you. We will do soon, but we don't know your child as well as you. How will we tune in, or how will the key person tune into my child's emotions?
So we place a big importance on key people's knowledge and understanding. So they're trained in attachment, they're trained to connect to babies and young children, they're trained to tune into them and do what's called a tune to the baby or young child. So they'll really sense where they feel settled, they'll sense when they feel uncertain, and they will absolutely react to that, and that's what they're absolutely trained to do. And all of the team in the room, they're all supportive. So if and sometimes it does happen, we have a baby that doesn't settle very quickly, we give that key person one-to-one time with that baby, and they can walk around the room, they can even go out for a walk if they need to. There's some cozy times that they've got as well. So we really tune into the baby and spend an awful lot of time making sure that they feel happy, safe and secure. And then is the time that we can build on the learning and talk about the things that are going to happen in the day. And that's where the baby's more tuned in and more alert to their new environment. So we're very good at that.
We're very good at that. And when we took the main one of the main points of that is, as Alison rightly says, we communicate so well. So if a member of staff is having a little bit of ideas, blocking ideas of how to help a certain child then we'll all just talk about it, and we will also include you. So expect to get included if that is the case, and don't be worried if they do take a few sessions longer than you were hoping. That's fine. They're in the best hands, honestly, and we will find a way together. We prefer to include you in those things. And we do have lots of tricks up our sleeves, like 7 little guinea pigs, and lots of outdoor fun, natural education and children. Honestly, it usually doesn't take long to distract them.
I think the most important thing to say is that we expect children to be upset.
Yes.
And actually that means that they've got a really healthy attachment to you, their primary caregiver.
Yes.
So we absolutely expect every child to be upset, and that's actually what we look for. We are more concerned if a child doesn't cry and doesn't get upset. So we absolutely expect it, and we're prepared.
And we tune into that. So we train our staff, because what we don't want to do is distract them and ask them to forget about you. And they need to know that you are at home or at work or wherever you are. You are somewhere else, but you're thinking about them. You still love them, and you are definitely coming back later. Then that is completely confirmed by you when you come back later, which you will. And then you go home and you have a lovely evening, and then the same thing happens the next time, and then they get to know what to expect and but what we do is we let them be sad. We don't encourage them to be any sadder, but we do let them be sad. So we do say to them, we know you're sad because mummy's gone, or because daddy's gone, or because we understand completely, and we are sad with you, but let's go and do something, so we acknowledge how they feel, and that's a really, really important thing, isn't it?
Staff are trained in emotional literacy, so we do acknowledge everything the child is telling us, whether they're verbally saying that to us or not. So if we can see they're angry, we absolutely acknowledge that. If we can see they're really upset,
especially if they can't,
we acknowledge that
if they're
too.
Not speaking yet,
yeah,
that's really important that they, because they get so frustrated. But my mum's gone. You don't understand. Why are you trying to make me look at that frog? I don't care about that frog yet. But I don't care about that, and so we put words in. So we say, we know you're cross about, and that helps with their language. It helps with them understanding themselves, and it helps with their empathy, and it helps with in the end, it helps with their confidence. So though we don't really super dwell on it, we do definitely acknowledge it.
It also helps with their self-regulation when they're 3 and 4, believe it or not. So when we're doing this with babies and very, very young children, acknowledging the feelings is hugely important to us, because we know lots around brain development, emotional literacy, and we know that when those children grow up to be 3 or 4, we know they're much more in tune to their own thoughts and feelings as well.
Great. Okay, so the last question that I've got, and we've covered a couple of these things, but I think we'll just do a quick breakdown.
Yeah.
Do we have any practical tips for the first few weeks? Yes, we do, don't we, Alison? So gradually. So sorry, interrupted you.
Definitely gradually.
Settle in gradually. Don't expect it to happen first of all. Keep in really close contact with your key person, because they will get the more they can get to know them, because they're going to be with this key person from baby to the end. So you're going to get to know this person well. Let's do it. Let's get off on the right foot. So they are there waiting, as Alison says, at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. But they're with your child all the time. So make sure you give them as much information, and when your routine changes, let them know. CC me in so that I can tell them if it's an important thing. And
you'll also have a buddy as well. So if that person's on holiday or not in for any reason, or on training or something, every child has a key person and a buddy.
When you're dropping off, on your way to dropping off, have a little think about the important things that you need to share about your child that day. Don't worry if you forget about them and you remember when you get to work, because you can always message us then. But just think about the important things, like where's their dummy, or whatever.
Change of clothes,
all that stuff.
A bit sore today.
Okay,
yeah.
So we need to, so the other thing to do is, I know you're at the door now, and instead of coming in because of COVID, but it's really important to be really positive and to talk about your key person, to talk about the nursery on the way to nursery, but also you should really keep the drop off at the door quite quick. So you've told them what's going to happen, especially, sorry to say, but especially if they're crying, really.
Yeah.
Because even though that sounds mean, but the longer you prolong the cuddle at the door, then the longer, the more upset that they will, the more emotional they will get.
And really, we're really ready for that.
We're so ready, and we will give them so much love on the other side. So really, don't worry about that.
And the more that we give them at that time, actually, the quicker they do settle.
Yeah.
So the more that we settle them down when they cry, the more confident they become in their key person.
Absolutely. And the last thing that I want to say, which isn't on here because we've gone through our main questions, I hope it was helpful, is before you come, make sure that your child is dressed appropriately. So we do have a lot of outdoor time. Obviously, they're in the woodland garden all the time, in the rain, so we do ask, please, that you provide, and everything is named because there's a lot of clothes flying around this place. That you have an all-in-one at this time of year snowsuit. In the summer, not so important, but a snowsuit, so that they're waterproof gloves, not wool gloves, waterproof gloves, all-in-one snowsuit that's quite baggy, so easy to put on over clothes, because they don't like to spend ages getting ready to go out. We need it to be nice and quick because we're going in and out all the time, and waterproof, padded at this time of year, but when it gets warmer, just wellies is fine, as long as they fit well. But at this time of year, sort of padded kind of moon booty type things are the best thing, so that they can quickly, boots, gloves, all in one, off I go, having a lovely time. And they love to roll around and do all that stuff, so the all-in-one thing's more important. But all of these things are put on your settle form. You are told all of these things, so please do not worry.
And don't come in the best kit, because the most important thing is there's lots of things for that child to wear.
Absolutely.
And that they're easy to take off and on. So it's really helpful if there's not loads of buttons and zips.
Absolutely, onesie.
Buy a nice bag, so you've got everything in a nice bag. That's
Lovely.
a good thing.
Yes.
A nice bag for the milk and things like that.
And you need to bring we're going to write all of this, so let's
Yeah.
not go into it, but you
Okay.
need a blanket for them to sleep with as well. But you will get all of that information. The most important thing is to prepare emotionally, talk to them, and understand that they are going to have a great time and you are doing the right thing.
And we'll be ready together.
Can't wait. Take care, bye.